be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, just an FYI, we've been recording for a couple minutes.
I figured.
Guys, we're going to start with a little intro. And he ain't gonna say his name yet, but full disclosure, before we even get started on that, I want the full disclosure. I live in an animal house, so we have 4 Aussies, 2 pigs, 2 cats. If you hear a couple barks, don't worry about it. I'll mitigate that in the editing program. This fine gentleman we have with us today was born in Templeton, California. You moved to Maine at the age of 6 due to being a military brat. And if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's your parents. Military travels all over the place. So he joined the Maine Army National Guard in 2012.
Yep.
Recently passed Sapper School in 2022, promoted not once, but twice to Staff Sergeant in 2023. He'll touch base more into that story. He's done every school the Army has to offer for being a combat engineer. EOCA.
Yep.
Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Engineer, explosive ordnance disposal agent, also advanced military mountaineer, loves building guns, hunting. He's happily married. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to give a very good friend of mine a warm welcome, Mike Kelley. Thanks for being here today.
CJ, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely my honor. We're going to kind of cut right into it. Now, childhood, memories, all that jazz, but can you tell us, and the audience, about your early years and like maybe why you moved to Maine and the reason behind it and how was it like moving at such a young age?
So I was pretty young, obviously, and my dad had done 11 years active duty by the time he decided he was done with active duty. And he grew up in Maine, small town way up north, Milo, Maine. Done with active, wanted to come home. We moved from California all the way back to Maine, and he just didn't really want the family traveling around a lot. He had already been through Desert Storm. Right out of high school, went to West Point. My mom was a couple years behind him. As soon as she turned 18, graduated high school, they got married. And right after they got married, their wedding, he got his orders for Germany.
Oh, shit.
So my mom, being 18 years old, like never left the state or anything like that. Just being thrown into another country and everything like that. And the stories they tell me and everything is kind of cool. But they go over there, and I was almost born in Germany, which would have been kind of cool, dual citizenship and whatnot.
Oh, hell yeah.
But she hadn't been pregnant enough, and he got his new orders for California. So they went out to Fort Hunter-Leggett, and just like anybody on active duty, there's the bullshit you got to deal with and whatnot. Yep. And he was like, I don't want that for my family. So they decided to move back home, and we moved to Scarborough because that's where my grandparents were living at the time.
Good town.
And,
we were actually working there.
Yep. Way different nowadays than it was back when I was a kid.
No, I'm sure.
There's way too many people there now. I hate driving through that town.
Yes, indeed.
But my dad just wanted something different for the family, and we come back to Maine, and it was weird. I kind of remember him. I remember the Army, like quite a little bit from like being a kid, and then just it not being a thing. So it was kind of strange, like even at a very young age, like knowing what's the word I'm looking for? Just like that this is how every day is going, and like the rules and everything, and then switch into like this is the real world, this is civilian life, like way different, like not having to go through post security and stuff like that. So it was kind of strange in a way.
Yeah, because you're used to base.
Yeah.
And it's like its own community.
Yeah.
And then you switch from that to civilian life, and then it's like, oh shit, like you're learning that whole aspect of it too.
So it was strange, and like obviously being very young, like a lot of people like don't remember that much like as a kid, but for me, like I do remember it, and like I think later on in life when I joined and like going to all the schools and everything, going back on base, like those things like came back and it was like, oh yeah, I remember this, like that was kind of cool. But so my dad did like about a year in civilian life, and it was just like, I can't do this anymore, like I'm bored. So he found out about the National Guard, joined. There's a bunch of different programs in the National Guard that you can do. So traditionally, you're an M-Day soldier, which is 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year, which is what he started. And there's technician programs where you're a federal technician, employee type style. And then there's the AGR, which is Active Guard and Reserve. And my dad got a tech job as a mechanic, I believe, for like a little bit, and then an AGR job opened up and he took over as the admin NCO, and that brought you kind of back into like real active duty, but like in a National Guard standpoint, like there are bases, but it's not like in the state of Maine, it's not like a big active duty post, like there's no post security.
No, is that the one off like by 295? Is that where you guys kind of meet up, or?
Yeah, so Augusta is like the state headquarters type deal, and they do have security there, but it's such a small, like I think it's like a 4 or 5 acre lot where like active duty bases are like thousands of acres and stuff like that, and like housing on inside. Like we don't have any of that in the state of Maine. But yeah, after he got his AGR job, like the next, so he did 11 years active duty full time, and then AGR National Guard he did 19, so he had 29 years total. Yeah.
Oh, he was a lifer.
Yeah, he was a lifer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did like now, what was it like growing up, like via that lifestyle, like military brat, and like how did it shape kind of moments of your young childhood into like maybe even just grade school? Like, do you think that had a lot to do with like you knowing the aspect of active to civilian to national? Did that, you think, change your childhood completely? Like, if you think you'd just been active all the time and that's the life you knew, are you pretty stoked that you had that just difference?
Yeah, like my dad ruled with an iron fist, and not in like a bad way, but like I look at some of my friends growing up and like how I grew up, like there's discipline in the house and like structure, yeah, which is a huge thing, and like into my adult life, like that structure has shaped me to like the person that I am. And sometimes when I maybe bleed back into the like laziness or anything like that, like structure keeps me going, and I think it helps anybody. But having that dad that like grew up in the Army and stuff like that, like things went a certain way, and like you got to follow the rules. Rules are a big thing.
Yeah.
And maybe to my like adolescent life, like as a kid, like I kind of went against the rule and whatever, and got
test the waters.
You test the waters. But at the end of the day, like the iron fist comes down.
Yeah. And so when Papa says, and they got the vein popping out. Like,
and he's got a big old vein that hangs out the left side of his face. So
I feel like every father has that.
It's pretty funny. I've noticed it sometimes, like after a workout or something, the vein will pop out in my head, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm way too much like that.
But your son will know that. Like, you'll be like, oh, daddy's vein's going on.
But I don't know, man. It was always cool to me. Like, my dad was in the Army and stuff like that. Like, I pride myself, like, as a kid, like...
Give you something to look up to.
Yeah. And from a very, very, very young age, like, I knew, like, that's what I was going to do.
So. But, you still had a childhood, though. Like, what was your, like... Yeah, and you come from kind of the age group, too. We're similar. Like, I'm a little older, but at the end of the day, like, we both got to see that transition from the phones were connected to the walls.
Yeah.
I think we got to see the BlackBerry smartphone. We got to see the old fucking school car phones that were like the size of a toaster oven. Well, toaster oven nowadays, not so much.
Yeah.
90s, 2000s.
Yeah.
Do you appreciate knowing the duality of being able to see, like, okay, is going outside, tree forts, oh shit, text messages came along, internet came along. Do you like the like, and will you hand that down to, like, maybe when you have kids? Or
yeah, like growing up, my dad loves his video games. Like, he always, and like, he's not a gamer now or anything like that. Like, he'll play games on his phone or like the computer or something like that. But like growing up, like the old Nintendo, like Super Nintendo, like we always played those things. And
get over here.
Yeah, but he was also a very like big advocate of like, you're gonna go play outside. Like,
you just don't see that.
They open the door in the morning, the kids go outside, you're playing all day long, they'll yell to you, you come back. But then, like, as technology progressed, like, I was kind of a gamer, like, in high school and stuff like that, and, like, he got me a GameCube one year
for the old GameCube,
Christmas and everything like that, and I had an N64 and whatnot. But then, like, it started, like, kind of taking over my life, and he's like, no.
Yeah, it can be addicting.
It's very addicting. And, like, he always played on the computer and stuff like that, but at the same time, like, the busiest man I ever met, like, every day, wake up at 5, like, drink his cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, and then he's either outside doing yard work or stuff, like, even to this day. Like, he's got his sawmill and everything, and it's a routine. Like, that was just his thing.
Yeah.
And, like, he always wanted me outside, but, like, there'd be times where we'd, like, go play video games and whatnot.
What was the favorite thing, like, in your childhood? What was the, like, favorite thing that you've done outside? Like you do, like, playing cops and robbers or fucking...
Dude, building tree forts.
Oh, dude.
Building tree forts.
So fun.
Hands down building tree forts. So many of them.
The high, low, ground level, you name it.
Yeah. And, like, as the years progressed and the older you got, the more sophisticated the tree forts got. So, like, actual building material came in and, like, it just 2-3 story tree houses, like, you name it, like, it happened. They weren't the safest things ever.
No.
But then, like with our neighbors we had growing up, like, they had an older brother as well that was way older than us, and, like, they'd help out build, and, like, my dad would come out and help build, and it was pretty cool. Like, just the stuff that we created.
And everyone's seen that. Like, your neighbors were like your friend, like chicken pox. You remember chicken pox? Like, what do? You go hang out with your neighbors and just all get it together, and then, like, hey, just come home when the lights on, or dinner time's ding, 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 ding. You don't see that anymore. No. And, like, every time I, like, see somebody out playing catch, I'm like, I want to stop by and get them, I don't know, like a gift card or some bullshit, because I'm so excited about it. But you just don't see that neighborhood love anymore.
No.
And I feel like our generation got to see more of that. We running around, built, like you say, tree forts, 2-story, like, enough to where, like, you build it big enough, you might have to get, like, property tax on it.
Exactly.
Like, your dad comes up, hey, we got to take that down. Like, I might get charged.
My dad's trying to charge us for some shit right now.
Oh, shit. Now, getting influenced when you were younger, seeing the active to civilian to guard, do you think that's influenced your career choices up to?
Yeah, in a way. Like I said, from a very young age, like, I always knew I wanted to be in the Army. And there's a part of me that kind of wish I went active for, like, a little bit, just to see the lifestyle. But at the same time, like, I grew up in that lifestyle. Yeah. Now, that's a little different. Like, I wasn't going to work every day working for active duty Army. But I knew at the time, and I'll admit it, like, there was a chick involved when I first joined. So I was like, oh, no, I want to stay home. And, like, that part of me, like, that, I haven't seen that chick in 15 years. No, not 15 years. Probably, like, 12 years. And, like, it was a stupid decision to make at that point in time. So, like, part of me thinks, like, oh, I wish I kind of had done it. But at the same time, like all the things that I've accomplished in my National Guard career right now, like who knows if that would have been the same like on active duty. So it's one of those things where you go back and forth internally, and I'm happy with the decision I made. I was a traditional M-Day for a very long, like 10 years. Like, didn't do any sort of ADOS orders, which is, you can come in as an M-Day where you're still drilling with your unit. But
explain M-Day for the...
So M-Day, like I said in the beginning, was like the traditional 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year, your AT period, your annual training. And that's like the contract you sign with the National Guard when you join is like that amount of time, but it never works out that way. Like you're going to schools all the time if you decide to
progress your career.
Yeah, progress your career and everything like that. But I did contracting for the first 10 years of my career in the National Guard. So Monday through Friday, I had a civilian career, and luckily with me, like I worked with people that were pretty lenient. It's all under the table kind of stuff.
Yep.
But it moved into me having my own business. When my dad retired from the National Guard, he created Kelley Property Services, which was he started out mowing lawns, and he had like 2 dudes' lawns that he mowed, and they were dudes that he knew in the National Guard. So he changed it from that to doing some hardscape stuff. And that took off quite a bit. And I had done siding for years, and we just kind of worked together throughout the years, and then took off on my own, was making like pretty good money. Always in the back of my mind, I was like, I still want to do AGR. Like, you can't beat like the lifestyle my parents lived and like are living now with his pension and everything like that. Like you really can't beat it. And COVID hit, and prices for material went through the roof. Yeah, people started getting super weird about construction work, and there's too much stress involved. And I was doing pretty well, but the workforce just like completely dipped.
Oh, they're getting fucking paid for doing nothing. Like, what would you...
People wanted top money for zero experience, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And an opportunity came up where I had been applying for years to AGR jobs just to see if I could like get in, and didn't put too much effort into like studying for the interview. But after like my 6th interview, I had made the decision, like, this is what I want to do. So I finally got a AGR job, and since then it's been pretty...
Which is essentially just, it's like a full-time...
Yeah, Monday through Friday. So with AGR, Active Guard Reserve, you're a full-time active duty member, but in the National Guard standpoint. So Monday through Friday, I'm working at the unit. There's 4 of us that work at our armory, so...
Love it?
Love it, yeah.
Glad you took that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, 2012, joining.
Yep.
We're like, this is kind of more so for like the younger folk. Think about joining.
Yep.
Like, we're talking show up off the bus. Oh shit, this is real. What was kind of one of the first thoughts that went through your brain?
It was weird for me. So, like, with my dad ruling with an iron fist, like, the yelling and screaming didn't faze me, like, at all.
Yeah.
I actually got in trouble, like, one of my first days at basic training because I laughed at a drill sergeant because he was just, like, yelling in my face. And, I'm not saying my dad was, like, in my face yelling at the kid, but, like...
had a memory of...
Yeah, and it kind of, like, made me giggle a little bit. And the dude's like, oh, what, you think you're fucking funny? Or I'm funny or something like that? And I'm like, no, drill sergeant, like, sorry. And he's like, oh, yeah, push. And I was like, all right, okay. And then that kind of evolved to the end of just like my motto that I've stuck through like my entire military career is like, you can't smoke a rock. Okay. So like, I don't know. Even to this day, if I'm getting yelled at, it's just like, I take it. I'm very polite and like customs courtesies with the military and everything, but it's just like in the back of my mind, I'm like, you can't smoke a rock, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there ain't no sense in getting butthurt about it or
Yeah, and like, don't get butthurt about it. Like, you're there. Like, if you're not used to the screaming and yelling, like, yeah, it's gonna feel super uncomfortable. But like,
probably won't shit right in a couple of weeks.
but it makes you a better human being.
Yeah,
it does.
That's like when I was bullied when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of bullying.
Yeah, same. I was bullied a lot when I was a kid.
I see the good things that came from it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like mixed emotions.
Yeah.
So it may not feel right
at
the time, but in the future, you're like, I'm pretty happy that guy was a douche canoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you have completed every school the Army has to offer for like a combat engineer.
Yep.
That takes a level to try to just, and I think you were talking about like, because like in the time that you just don't deploy no more. So like you've never deployed, but you've took that opportunity to just train, just in case that call came.
Yeah.
What drives you to keep pushing to that level?
Just being better than, not in a cocky way, better than everybody else, but I don't know. So a combat engineer, like in the Army, if people don't know, is we pride ourselves like being just like infantry. So like we're in the engineer realm where you have your dirt pushers, your vertical guys, which are plumbers, electricians, carpenters, like just the engineering realm, but there's the combat side to it. So like the big thing with combat engineers is explosives. So like we're no EOD or anything like that. But like we have the knowledge base to use plastic explosives and any kind of explosives that the Army has, and like use them in a way to defeat obstacles, create obstacles, mobility, survivability, stuff like that.
Like, oh, we got to make a road.
Exactly.
Rocks in a fucking way. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, and coming in 2012, my unit was sourced to deploy for Afghanistan. We did a whole year train up. And about 3 weeks before we were supposed to go to Mob Station, we got the phone call, hey, you guys are getting off-ramped. So, like, just joining the Army at that point, knowing I wanted to deploy, like, having my dad knowing, like, he was gone for 2 years when I was a kid in 04, 05 for Iraq.
That was, like, the push.
That way, yeah, he was in the initial push. And granted, like, he was National Guard, and in an engineer aspect, he was a 12 November, which is a heavy equipment operator.
Oh, my buddy Justin Stanton was
so
D19 or something. I think
he was the readiness sergeant of the unit. So like he was operations. Like that was his role as a full-time employee for that unit. And he's told me some crazy stories, and ever since like he told me some of those stories, and just knowing he was gone for that long, like I joined to fight for freedom and everything like that. Like 2001 hit, the Twin Towers, like I remember that. So at a young age, I knew like this is what I wanted to do, and joining into the National Guard, knowing that this unit, which is a combat unit, was like getting deployed, like so stoked for it. Like we trained so hard,
for the long spin up.
Yeah, and then for it to just kind of get pulled from under you, like it was wild.
Did it hurt?
Yeah, bad. And even after that, for the next like 4 or 5 years, like I went to 2 other units in the state to try to go on a deployment as well. And each time we'd do this huge train up, and then they'd be like, yeah, you guys are getting off ramped. And then the one unit that actually went to Afghanistan, I didn't get picked for. There was only 4 dudes in our company that actually got to go on that deployment. So I was pretty upset about that in a way. But I also kind of knew, like talking with my dad, he's like, don't volunteer for that shit. Like, it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
Well, life happens and unfolds as it should type deal, you know?
And so now, like, being married, about to have kids, like, me and my wife have talked, like, if you're going to do it, like, do it now. But I'm at a point where I can't just volunteer for stuff like that because I'd have to lose my full-time job.
Yeah.
So, once I kind of realized, like, it'll come when it comes, if it comes.
God willing, it doesn't, but...
Yeah. I changed my mindset into just, like, training to be the best, in a way. I was never, like, a physical specimen, like, the best of the best, like most people. Like, our unit prides theirself in, like, having the best of the best soldiers and, like, only sending those soldiers to schools because, like, they know they're going to pass and everything like that. But my old training NCO, Sergeant Christie, who's now Mr. Christie, he's a warrant officer.
Oh, he's a unicorn.
Yeah, he's a unicorn now.
Yeah.
He gave me a shot in the dark. Like I said, talking about having like a construction contracting job. Like sometimes in the National Guard, at the drop of the hat, like they'll be like, "Hey man, we got the school coming up. Like no one else can go. Do you want to go?" And like within a week, you're like leaving to go to school. So in a way, you have to be physically fit at a certain point for certain schools, but he gave me a shot in the dark for this EOCA course, Engineer Explosive Ordnance Disposal Agent, and it's taught by EOD. So like, never been to a military school before. It's technically the third time I've been to Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri, because went to basic training, came home, joined my unit. A month later, we went back to Fort Leonard Wood as a company to do R2C2, which was like a route clearance type training, that was our mission for our unit. And so I'm going back to Fort Leonard Wood for the third time, but the first time like by myself. It's my first military school, and I'm like super nervous because like this is a super hard school, like very technical. EOD teaches it. It's ordnance identification and how you're able to dispose of it. As a combat engineer, there's like a fine line of like poundage for explosives that you're allowed to get rid of and below, and like the type. So anything chemical, or white phosphorus would be chemical, but anything Willie P or like above 40 pounds, like EOD has to come in and do that. Yeah. But anything below that,
bam, you guys.
They created the course in order, because overseas, they were having a hard time with route clearance and everything, having EOD come in. They'd be sitting on an objective for hours waiting for EOD to come to clear it, and they just get friggin' ambushed.
So they created a way to delegate.
Through the combat engineer MOS. It's just to have these dudes that already know about explosives, that have them on hand, be able to take care of the small fish. And it was a wicked cool school. When I first joined, it was like 5 weeks long. So you go in, threat ordnance identification, you're looking at Chinese, Russian, all kinds of different...
You're going to learn all that too.
Yeah, and there's color codes that go with it, and like you learn about it day one, next day you test on it. Then you go into the next thing, learn about it, test on it. So it's high tempo learning, just like EOD does, but it's not as technical in a way.
Yeah, you're not getting into like... how it did it. You're learning how to get rid of clear path,
making sure it's safe to approach it, like knowing different safeties of what kind of munition you're looking at. Like if you're looking at a rocket, you gotta come in at a 45-degree angle at the rear and like find out what kind of rocket it is.
And that just allows you to do it better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And be safe. But so anyways, like I was saying, like the school used to be 5 weeks long. Like you do the normal 2-week identification process, blah, blah, blah. And then the last 3 weeks is robot work. But they ended up getting rid of it.
That'd been fun.
Yeah. They ended up getting rid of the robots, and it was just a 2-week school. So I went to one of the first courses where they changed it to the 2-week. So like everything was more compressed. And like they're trying to fit everything in. They did take the robots out, but there was some other things within the robots that they were like, all right, we still gotta like put this in the school. So like, how are we gonna do this in 2 weeks? So we started out with like 34 people. We graduated with 11.
All right. So decent nutrition rate.
Yeah. So that was like my first Army school, and I was like, God damn. Like it was not a physical school like whatsoever. It was straight mental. And like from there, I was like, all right, I got it. And then so him throwing like shot in the dark, like giving me the school. Like I hadn't proven to the unit that like I was the best of the best, but like I was available, and my scores on my ASVAB were like high enough to be able to go to the school. So he was like, all right, dude, this is your shot. Don't prove me wrong.
Do it.
And I didn't. And then from there, I went to everything else. And I made sure at that point that, like, I would always be the guy. If something came up at the drop of a hat, I would go. So moving on forward, like, all of the other schools I've been to.
So you've been to Sapper School.
Yeah.
And that's no small feat.
Nope.
I remember you telling me a story once about, what's it, like cold as fuck?
It was the second time thing. I recycled, so.
And We'll get into that. Can you walk us? No, like tactics or shit like that. We OPSEC and all that. You know what I mean? But can you kind of walk us mentally through what like that taught to you and like a real rough experience you had that, and then how you got through that?
Yeah. So I'll start off with like why I wanted to go. So with Sapper School, like a lot of people might know, or actually a lot of people don't really know what it is. It's Ranger School for the engineers, but it's a condensed version. So it's 4 weeks long, and it's split into 2 phases. You have your general studies phase and then your patrolling phase. And I always wanted to go, like, since I joined, because like you wear that tab on your shoulder and
makes your pants tight.
It does. Like, oh, for sure. But it's just the confidence and knowledge that all of like my senior leadership when I was growing up like had, because they had gone to that school. It's not just because of wearing the tab. Like some people talk about tab wearers and tab bearers. Like all of the leadership I had growing up in my company, they were the bearers.
They were like Ranger tab, Ranger qualified.
Yes. So like they would go to the school and come back and beaming with confidence in any course or class they would teach, any white time training about demolitions, tactics, anything like that. Like they just knew it right off the top of their head. And for years, like it took me 10 years in order to get to the point where I had an opportunity to go. I've always wanted to go, but like teaching the stuff that they do at that schoolhouse was always kind of like I'd have to sit there for a couple weeks, kind of go over the class I'm going to give my guys and whatnot, and just make sure I know what I'm talking about. Like, then going to that school and coming home and just being able to, off the top of my head, oh, this is how you do that. Like, it's a rugged school. So the first 2 weeks, like, you get there, and it's like any other military school, you in process, everything like that, and they're all nice to you. And like, oh, this is where you go. This is where you go. And then they're like, be up at 04 the next morning. We're going to do the SPFT, which is the Sapper physical training. And that consisted of push-ups, pull-ups, knee-ups, which is like a new standard that the Army has. It's silly, but whatever. You have to do that. And then a 3-mile run. And then after you do the physical test, you go into like... they call them STTs, just Sapper technical training. So you get some demolitions in front of you. You gotta like tell them what this is, what that is. Disassemble, reassemble, 240, 249, and then some map stuff. And then after that, you do the layout. And you got all your gear staged in a big pile. You got rucks in one pile, and there's 100 something of you motherfuckers there. And there's just a pile for duffel bags, a pile for rucksacks, and a pile for your A bag and everything. And like knowing people that have gone to this course, you want to know like exactly where you put your shit in that pile because you know what's about to happen. Yeah. All fucking hell breaks loose, and they're like, you got 2 minutes to grab your shit and empty it in the PT field. So like everybody's running. You're pushing people out of the way, trying to grab these bags and getting back to your spot and like ready for them.
And make sure you get the right shit.
Name an item. And like I know what's coming at this point because like I've had friends that have gone and like life's about to change. Yeah. So like
no more nice.
And like it's like a flip of the switch. Like these people that you've been talking to for about 24 hours, like the instructors talking to them, getting like little hints and tips and tricks and everything. Like they're not necessarily a friend, but they're nice. And then they flip a switch and it's just like
go time.
It's go time. So like you get back to your spot and they like call an item out. You gotta hold it up and like pack on a knee and everything like that. And if you don't do that, then they stop everybody and they just fuck you into the ground. They smoke you for hours. I think our layout was like 3 or 4 hours long, and it was just grab your A bag, which weighs about 80 pounds, put it over your head, go run a lap. And it's a half-mile lap around the buildings. So you're doing that, and like you're trying to finish in first, so like you don't look weak and everything. And then you finish, and they're like, "What? You didn't want to wait for your team?" So then the next time you guys get smoked, you like are in the back of the pack and they're like, what, you're too fucking slow? So like it's a whole mind fuck.
Yeah, you're never gonna be the best.
And then once you make it through that, once you make all the initial like this is what you need to do to get into the course, it's crazy. Like you're up till 2-3 in the morning. And during general studies, just like the other course I was talking about, you learn one thing one day, you test on it the next. And within that, you have all these like crazy like milestone type things that you have to pass. So there's a poncho raft, a buddy swim. So like you guys take your 2 rucksacks, make a poncho raft out of it.
Yeah,
you wrap your tarp or poncho,
floater,
make it airtight, make sure it's good, throw it in the water. You guys are tethered to it. And you gotta swim like, I think the total is like almost 1,000 meters. And like,
treading.
I thought I was a good swimmer. No, I was not a good swimmer. And so like this kid that I teamed with, we'd done the land nav the day before. And he's a PL and like came from West Point, and, like was hot shit and everything like that. And I was like, all right, sir, like, let's do this. And like he got us so lost. And I was like, dude, we're 2.5 hours into this land nav event. Like, give me the goddamn map. So I fucking got us a go that day. And then the next day was the swim. And like he like asked me, I'm like, do you want to just be partners? He's like, yeah, we're good, Ben. He's like, are you a decent swimmer? I'm like, yeah, like I can stay afloat. And like, I think I'll be good. But they got jet skis, like splashing water in your face. So I panicked at one point. So I was just kind of like backstroking the entire time. And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry, but like, you're pretty much going to have to drag my ass right now. And he's like, that's fine. He's like, you got us to go and land up yesterday. He's like, so I can do this.
Make up slide.
And he was like an Olympic swimmer. Like, dude was a champion. So you make it through all these things. And then there's a 12-mile ruck march, which is just, you got to do it in 3 hours. And there's just all these little things throughout the first 2 weeks that you got to pass. And like each day, I would just take it day by day and be like, all right, I got this one event. I need to pass it. I need to continue on. And then you move into patrol phase. And the instructors in patrol, like you think the instructors you have in general studies are like mean. Like once you get into patrol phase, they're like really fucking mean. And like that alone between general studies into patrol, like that switch right there with those kind of people, like that was like a oh fuck moment where it's like this is.
And they probably did that because you got into a groove.
Yes.
Let's fuck the groove up.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you're gonna go to a similar groove, and then all of a sudden, bang, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, and like it's a weird kind of mindset going into patrol phase. So like you made it through the first 2 weeks, and like you're like, all right, well I did this, now I got to do this part. But this next part is like these people are really mean and like savages, and so you go through about 5 days in patrolling in the very beginning. Of just like learning the op order process, like taking the mission in, dissolving the mission, turning it into like a brief that you got to give everybody, which is like an 8-hour-long brief that you have to give, and it's graded. And then you move into patrolling, which is just for 7 or 8 days, you're just running ragged.
You're like staying out there.
Hour maybe. Like for my first go through patrol phase, because I recycle patrol phase, my first go through. On average, like an hour of sleep a night. So then you start seeing the monsters at nighttime, like because you are so tired. You're hallucinating. And you're wearing a 120-pound rucksack on your back. So you're physically drained. You're sleepy. Like you're doing everything you can to stay awake. But being able to like do these very technical things like
while being exhausted,
proficient in a way where they're like grading you on it. So you get 2 looks during patrol phase, which is 2 graded missions. And like going into it, I was like, I don't want planning, because planning is a big portion of it, and it's a bear. And my first look, I get squad leader. So like I just have to run my squad. It's like a sling load mission. So we got a Chinook coming in, got to grab all of our rucks and everything. We got to load on. The wind came in and something happened, so the Chinook never ended up coming. So they bust us, to like our infill point. And I was like, I think I did good. Like, I definitely passed that. And then at the end of the day, like at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, like they do like instructor eval type stuff. So they like bring anybody that was graded that day in and like kind of tell you the good things, the bad things, but they never give you like a you did it or you didn't. It's just kind of like a broad, vague thing. So you never know if you passed or not. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I passed this. And then my next look was like 4 days later, and it was platoon sergeant planning. And I was like, God damn it. So one way to know if you passed, like right off the bat, is you only get one look. If you get one look, you passed, you're good. They're going to give that other look to somebody else that was kind of struggling. So I got my second look, and I was like, well, I didn't get a first time go. And this sucks because it's platoon sergeant planning. So like the whole planning portion, like I said, like 8 hours of a brief that you have to give the whole company. Okay. And it's just, you go right into mission and everything like that. And then after you do this 2 weeks of patrolling and you're just dog shit smoke, tired, you want to go home. You want to eat a cheeseburger at this point because you've been eating one meal a day for like a week, maybe a little bit more, and you're just hungry and tired and you want to go home. And they have you clean weapons. You get back to the barracks, you clean weapons and everything. No one knows what happens or what's happening. And then the day before graduation, they have what's called heartbreak formation, and they take the whole
That's a good
company.
Name. Good name for it.
There's 65 of us that started, and at the very end there was 24. So that's, or let me rephrase that. There was 65 of us that started, and then once we got into heartbreak formation, there was like 38 or so of us left from people that had dropped out, had like a negligent discharge during a patrol. They got kicked out of the course, or like something that happened, or they got caught eating when they weren't supposed to, which is called grazing. And they get you into this formation, they start calling names. And like they'll either tell you to stay in place or like go to another spot like around the corner.
So
like,
even at that point, you still don't know.
You still have no idea. And then you're starting to look around at all the names that have been called. So like then you're starting to look at those people and like, oh, well, how did they do? And like, oh, who did get, because there was a couple guys that got like a first look. So you know if you're in that group, like you made it. And there was one guy that got called, and I'm like, oh shit. And it was kind of like, did he make it? Did he? Like, he was a rock star, but like, they'll keep you there even if you do great. Like, the whole school relies on recycles. So those recycles will get to come into the next phase, and it just works like that, just like Ranger School. And so my name gets called, and I get called with that guy, and I'm like, well, he did a great job. So like, I think I made it. And so we go around the corner. And then this one kid that we knew did not make it or wasn't going to make it. This was like his third or fourth time at Sapper School. And he was kind of a dweeb in a way. But at the same time, like, wasn't the worst. But I just kind of put him in a group where he was like, oh, he didn't make it. And he turned the corner. And I was like, oh, no. I got recycled. And then the instructor comes around the corner and he's like, yeah, you guys didn't make it.
Here to break your heart.
And I was like, God damn it, dude. Like, I've been here for 28 days. And, like, I just wanted to make it through and get back. So, I got recycled. So the way this works in the National Guard, it all works off school funding. And most of the time, especially with a school like this, like, we've had it in the past where guys have had to come home because the state didn't have enough funding to keep them there. But I knew when I went down that they had funding for me to recycle. So I knew if I were to recycle, I would be staying there and I'd do it again. So then I had to, like, internally just be like, all right, well, I got to fucking do this again.
Oh, the next one.
And luckily, you don't have to do the whole thing over again.
So you go back to, like, a certain
Yeah,
point.
so I had already passed GS phase and patrol phase is what I failed. So there was about 6 days between the next class starting. So that 6 days, I literally went to the PX, like ate breakfast, lunch, dinner that they gave us, and then I go to the PX. I was eating like 10 or 15,000 calories a day.
Just
trying to, I lost 25 pounds in 28 days, which is pretty gross.
Yeah.
And then, so that was, I started it in October. I'm now into November. And I gained all my weight back, but my body was like after not doing anything for like 6 days, it was really starting to feel like the effects of having a 120-pound rucksack on your back for a long time. And right before the school, I had flipped my side-by-side and fucked up my shoulder. And like that was like 3 weeks before the school. And I just kind of pushed through it. And like it was numb the entire time, so I didn't think anything of it, but it really started hurting. And I was like, oh no. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this again. And went right back into it, and fucking, it was cold. It was very cold the second time through. Like, one day it was like 70, and then the next day, like, went back into the 2 weeks of patrolling. So, classroom portion for the first, like, 7 or 8 days, and then going back into graded patrols. The day we walked into graded patrols, it was 9 degrees outside. And they do a thing there in the schoolhouse where, like, if it gets too cold, they'll keep you around Fob Falanico, which has, like, a heated building. And, like, their safety measures, they're not just going to, like, string you out freeze to death. So, like, you get to warm up in the building or whatever. But this was the weird transitionary period between summer and winter, where winter, they regulate, like, what you wear. Like, they tell you what you're allowed to wear. Yeah. And, like, this was still like, there's some warm days, some cold days, and they didn't care. They were just like, this is what you get to wear. So it's like our silk bottoms and tops, and then our Gore-Tex rain jacket, which is a terrible combo when you're laying on the ground and there's like 9 inches of snow. So there's one night, me and my buddy were so cold, and we're like cuddling in this foxhole. And I'm like, dude, I am so miserable right now. Like, I want to go home. And he's like, dude, we got like 5 days left. And I'm like, yeah, but like, if it's going to be like this for the next 5 days, like, I don't know if I have it, man. And it was a very big internal battle on like what the fuck I was going to do. And like, failure was not an option. But at the same time, like, all I had to do was like switch my selector switch to fire and just ND. And then I get to go home, and I like looked at my buddy. I'm like, we could just do this right now. And he's like, yeah, and then we'd be warm. We could have a cheeseburger. And I'm like, yeah, we could.
Which probably did not help with.
No, and like we're both just like fuck this. It is so miserably cold out. And then one of our other buddies was getting graded, and he's like, I swear to God, if you two do that, I will beat the fuck out of you. And like, he was a good friend of ours, and he recycled with us. And this was his last shot at like being at Sapper School, so we're like, all right, yeah,
teamwork.
Let's not fuck this dude. And then we kind of like, and we just got through it. It was just miserable. And then like it's just hour by hour, pretty much at that point. No longer day by day, it was hour by hour of just like doing the thing.
It's like those days you got to break up into 16ths or quarters. You had to break that day up into.
Yeah, and we had this motto. It's called gray bag to brown bag, or brown bag to gray bag. So our sleeping sack is gray, like the sleeping system is gray, and then like an MRE bag's brown. So like it was get in the sleeping sack, sleep for an hour or two, wake up, then you get your brown bag, and then you're looking for that next either gray bag or brown bag. And that's like how we made it through the days, was just like waiting for that next meal, or waiting to be able to like get inside the sleeping bag to like warm up.
Just to warm up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So like I talked about with like first time looks, like going back into my last heartbreak formation, because if I don't make it this time, like I'm going home. Like they don't let you stay again. And one of my buddies that recycled with me, he's like 5 foot, smallest dude I've ever met, but like the strongest dude I've ever met. At one point, he had like 2 cratering chargers, which are like 40 pounds each, on top of his 120-pound rucksack. So he's got close to almost 100 pounds more than he actually weighs on his back. Dude never complained, ever. And I knew he got a first-time look, because he only got 1 look that second go-through. And we're in heartbreak formation, and I hear all these names getting called, and I'm like, oh no, I'm in the wrong group again. So like,
fucking hard, just,
you know, in the military aspect, like when you're in formation, like you do not move. And like the instructors called this one group over to the other side of the building. I was staying stationary, and they left. So we're all still in formation, like position of attention and everything. And I'm like, I can't wait anymore. I literally jumped out of formation to like look down the line to like see my buddy. And like I like stepped out of line and saw this little 5-foot dude standing like 3 people beside me, and I just screamed, "Fuck yeah!" And the instructor came running back over, and I knew this instructor from the year prior. He was my
Thank God.
UMBC instructor, my urban breaching instructor. So like knowing him going into this was kind of like a lifesaver, but at the same time, like the dude fucked with me hard, like all the time. He's like, "Sergeant Kelley, like you haven't graduated yet, so I'd suggest you get back into formation and shut your fucking mouth." And I was like, "Roger." So I get back in line, and then they like dismiss that group upstairs, and then they come over and they're like, "Yeah, you guys fucking made it." And I was like, "Oh my God." I did it.
Well, how'd that feel like just internally?
It was weird. It didn't like necessarily kick in. Like even after the graduation ceremony, like coming home, like it didn't necessarily like kick in until like I got to my unit and everybody was coming up to me and they were like, "Holy fuck, dude, like you made it." And I was like, "Oh shit, like I did make it." Like it's wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is fucking awesome.
Sorry, I just went on a long tear on that one.
That's what we're here for, dude. That's what we're here for. We're probably gonna do one more question, and then I gotta piss.
Same.
So we can do a quick go talk to a man about a horse type deal.
Okay.
So you were an E6 for 3 years, took a demotion, then 9 months later you got your E6 back. To the audience, explain that.
So it was before I took my full-time job. So I had been a squad leader / platoon sergeant on and off. We had a guy that was getting meted out, and I was kind of filling in as platoon sergeant for a while. And it was right before Sapper School. Had my E6, was about to hit time for my E7. And during Sapper School, during my break between phases, I had an AGR interview. And I did it over the phone because obviously I wasn't home and they were holding the boards back at home, and they give everybody an opportunity that had applied for the job. So I did the job interview while I was at Sapper School during my break. And if I hadn't gotten the job, I would have been promoted to E7 immediately when I got home. But I got the job while I was there, and it was our admin NCO job. So I ended up having to take a rank reduction from E6 to E5 to be our admin NCO. And 9 months later, after doing the admin thing, when I came back from Sapper School, our training NCO left, which then let me backfill his position. And normally when you start out an AGR contract, you have like 18 months that you have to be in your job before they'll consider you for anything else. And like a 3-year window where it's like, you're going to be in this job for probably 3 years till you move on. Well, it just, the perfect storm hit where like nobody else wanted to be in our unit just because of like the high op tempo and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I was on the top of the list for E5. So November was the time that I took the rank reduction. Our promotion list comes out February 1st. So like I had taken the rank reduction and I was on the promotion list from E5 to E6 already, and I was number 1 in the state because what E5 do you know has been to all NCOES schools to become an E7. So like I was already top of the list, and it was the perfect storm where like they're like, all right, well he's already on the promotion list, like he can just go right back into E6.
And they just like,
and they were just like, yeah, here's your E6 back.
So you weren't there for long.
Yeah. The cool thing about the 2 promotions to E6, my dad always had this joke. He's like, you never be a good NCO unless you've been demoted once, or something along the lines of that. Meaning like some people get hemmed up here and there and they learn from their lessons and everything, where like I didn't get hemmed up, but like I took a step back from the role I was in to do another role. Now that I'm back in an E6 position, I'm in an even more important role as like the training NCO.
Yeah.
Where like you just kind of taking that step back and realizing what you had and just like making it better. But also when I got promoted to E6 the first time, we had gotten activated to go down to Washington DC for the inauguration.
Yep, I remember a bunch. Even like in Michigan, they had quite a few over there too as well.
So my dad's always been at all my promotions. He's the one that always pins me, and I really wanted him to pin me my E6, but my commander really needed me to be wearing the rank while we were down in Washington, D.C. with the things that were going on down there and just being in that leadership role. So he didn't get to pin my E6. So with this perfect storm of me being demoted and then getting my E6 back, he got to come the second time I got my E6 and actually pinned me.
So you got the best of both.
I got the best of both, bro.
That's cool.
Pretty sick, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's always done it. So, like, you probably were like, oh, man.
Yeah, I was a little upset, but at the same time, he's like, hey, man, like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then, like, it gets to happen again, and he was there, and he's like, all right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to take about a little 5-minute break. We got to go talk to our old friend, and then we'll be back. But enjoy this little commercial while it's going off. Talk to you in a minute.
Now, before you go skipping off and skipping over this, I can assure you that this is not a paid promotion. I am not benefiting from this at all. I am here to make a recommendation, okay? Now, I'm not here to sell you anything either, too, but what I am here to do is save you some money. Now, I think we can all agree that rewards programs around in your local town, about 98.9% of them are shit, and very little that are good. So I'm here to talk about one of the good ones. Ace Rewards, and I've been using it for 5 to 6 years, is hands down the best one. The more money you spend, the more points you get into coupons. This could be $5, $10, $15, or $20 off 100. Literally the best around. Not only that, easy to use app. They remember your birthday, they give you a birthday gift. Download the app, sign up, start using it. So when that Sunday comes around where you're essentially, oh shit, I need to go buy something, you never know, you might wind up at Ace. Now let's get back to regular broadcast.
All right, we are back. That felt good.
Yeah, it did.
That was needed.
Yeah.
We smoked a cigarette too. You'll have that on these long jobs. We're gonna move it into like kind of like your hobbies and personal life. I remember you telling me like you love building guns.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of got that? What got you into that, and what do you love most about it?
Originally, and this was Trump check number 1,
Okay.
the stimulus check that we got. I wanted an AR, and I didn't want to pay stupid money for it because I wasn't making that much money in the beginning. And I had some friends that had worked for like Wyndham Weaponry and stuff like that, and they're like, "Dude, you can get into building an AR platform for like super cheap." So that's how it kind of like started. So obviously YouTube videos every single night, like watching like what to buy, what to get, this, that, the other, how to build it. And the first stimulus check came in, so it was like what, $1,200 or something like that.
Yeah, I never got it.
I wasn't even gonna use that much of it.
Didn't get none of them.
But so I was going for like the cheap build in a way, just to have one. Just
Cheap, but like good. It's like once you build it, it's you can. It may like it's going to cost you cheap, but at the end of the day, it's decent shit for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was going to be kind of like a budget build in a way, just to have one. And it turned into way more. I think I had like $1,800 into the first one that I built. And
Which is probably like a $4,000 type of gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And I've kept it forever since I built it. And a lot of people buy, sell, trade, whatever. But this one was kind of special to me because it's the first one I ever built. And I put probably 7,000 rounds through it. And nothing wrong with it. So I actually used it in a shooting competition this summer. So
yeah.
It's the new competition gun.
It's your go-to. So like I know I got mine, and then that's like that don't really get touched unless it needs to be touched.
Yeah.
So that's like competition, and you probably got like you just fuck all type gun. Yeah.
Yeah, my Palmetto State. That's my fuck all one. Thing cost me like $300. But it's worth it. I love it. I've put a lot of rounds through that one too, and
Have you done like the AKs and the ARs? Like
No, so with AKs, that's still one that I want to do, but the equipment you need to build an AK is, because a lot of it's riveted, and it takes a lot more to build one of those. And I didn't do a whole lot of research on the AK platform at all, so I do still want one, and maybe I'll get into it, but for the...
It's like the Toyota Helixes of rifles.
Yeah, they're amazing weapons platforms, but it takes a lot to build one.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll probably just buy one of those.
Like you talked about that 1800 you had in it. Like, is that like your favorite project that you've, or do you got another one?
I built a Glock 17 with they used to do these Polymer 80 was the brand, and they sent you a kit with like a jig, and you'd put the lower into it, and you'd have to drill all the holes into it and whatnot. And they don't sell them anymore. So for me, because they don't make them really anymore, like that was probably my favorite one, and that turned into my competition pistol too. So
people that don't understand it's he's not just buying parts.
I still got to go through the whole legal process of like having him sent to an FFL.
Yep.
Like the legal way to do it. I'm not trying to do anything illegal or anything like that.
You're actually customizing.
Exactly.
Like,
and for me, like, it is a little sketchy, like, knowing that, like, I built it, and, like, every time I've, like, test fired something, like, I put it into, like, a clamp and went around the side of something and fired quite a few rounds through it to make sure it's safe, because the last thing I want to do is get injured by something that I built or did like that. And I'm not selling these or anything like that. These are for my own personal use. But it's cool knowing that,
like a hobby.
Yeah. I built it. I did all the work to it and everything like that.
Now, have you, like, I know you like hunting too, so have you, like, built your own hunting rifle yet?
No, I'm in the process of, what's the word I want to use? Customizing my own hunting rifle in a way. I do have, like, a custom built one that I bought off a friend, like, a while ago. It was a Marlin Arms 30-06.
Yep, good rifle.
Like, custom built, stock and everything. Like, guy woodworked it himself and polyed and everything like that. He cut the barrel down a little bit, and he used to make his own preloads and everything like that. It was like $2,500 gun I got for a friend for like $400.
Perfect.
So he keeps wanting to buy it back, but I'll never get it back.
No,
that thing is the most accurate rifle ever, and there's 2 years in a row I've gotten deer with it. So
yeah, I got a 30.
It's my lucky gun.
Like that I got rid of because, like, when I moved from Michigan, I'm like, Dad, like the second time I moved from Michigan, I'm like, Dad, just hold on to my, because I know if I'm ever in a pinch, that's the first thing, because it doesn't really mean, I'd rather have 2 rifles that I'm very efficient at, and instead of 100, and like 98 that I don't touch. So I was like, Dad, just hold on to those, like, so I don't have the opportunity to just, because I got rid of a 30-06 that, and I'm to this day regret it, and I'm gonna have to. I know the person. I could probably get a hold of him. Odds are he doesn't have it. But I will reach out and I will
try to get back.
Hey, can I? I'll buy that off you, back off you, because I miss it. I miss it. My pot, I had beautiful glass on it. Like, so mad I did that.
The gun that I'm working on right now is my 44 mag. It's a lever action. So it's complete black. It's the Henry Big Boy X 44 mag. I was trying to go like 45-70 or 30. I really want a 30-30. Don't know why. My great uncle had one for the longest time. My dad has it now, and he refuses to let me hunt with it. And I don't know why. Like, I've wanted it for years. He won't. My dad doesn't even hunt anymore. But it's just chilling in a safe at his house, but he won't let me have it. So, like, I wanted a 30-30. But the day I went to Cabela's, they had been out of the 30-30, and I was kind of trying to do like a tactical style something. So with the the Henry X that I bought, they only had 44 mag, which 44 mag is like a sweet round shoot. Like you can plink with it, you can still hunt with it and everything like that. And back when I bought it like 3 years ago, they were just coming out with like the tactical rails and everything, like Picatinny, everything like that, like the hollowed out buttstocks and everything. And one of my best friends like built a really fucking cool one, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that. And then I started like looking into it and everything, and I was like, no, like this gun itself, like just the way it sits, like is perfect. Like I don't really want to do anything else with it, so I'll probably buy another one and like make it a tactical version. Smith & Wesson actually makes like a tactical version lever action right now.
Okay.
It's a little bit cheaper than the Henry that I think I'll probably just buy instead of like disassembling this perfect gun. Like there's no reason to do it. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful gun. I love it. But the cool thing about it is my suppressor threads right on it, and it is so quiet. Yeah. Super quiet. I love it.
Smith & Wesson makes it?
Yeah, my buddy just showed me this the other day. It's a newer rifle. It'll probably come up first search, but
bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. This is like I just got this part in. All right. Let's see if we can just do images here.
Oh, right there, first picture.
Model 1854. We're like bringing back the old fucking West days. First year I ever shot was with 30-30.
Oh, yeah.
I got kicked off the bus that day because I swore. Was late to hunting.
Oh, that's not the tactical version.
And then I was, I mean, that's still pretty dope, though.
Yeah,
Nickel plated, isn't
it's
it?
a beautiful gun.
I mean, just those are making.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that son of a bitch right now.
Now, Smith was to make.
I could probably
We
get
shot
sued for
180
that.
grain
Whatever,
stuff
we'll
through
cut
it. We
for
shot
this.
suppressed all stainless steel construction on the metal. We have an
Yeah, and I don't like the ones that's got the front
barrel. So real easy to mount suppressor.
system, the
In this
railing.
case,
Yeah.
we used a Silencer
I know.
Code 46M on there.
so
We put it in a short configuration.
Correct, yes.
Dude, and it's just something about the
Still
lever
very
action.
quiet,
It just brings you back to the old timey like cowboy days.
Clint Eastwood type
Yeah.
shit. Oh yeah. Which I think we need more of. Like I'm really stoked that Yellowstone happened because I feel like any younger
Dude,
generation.
and like so, one thing about building guns, like just as a apprentice, like not like just kind of figuring it out myself. Like when you get into a lever action rifle, like there's a bunch of things that like I wasn't expecting, and I didn't have the tools to do. So I was like, I'm not going to touch this yet, like because it goes into a little bit of like gunsmithing, like shaving things.
like you really
down.
got to
Like you really got to
blades and
yeah. And one of them with a lever action that I didn't even like think of, but they like make like the portion, like when you action it, like the loop, they make like giant loops. So
Yeah.
like you can fit your whole fucking hand inside instead of like a couple fingers. You fit your whole hand inside. And, like, you do
that
the whole
fucking
spin
hurts
and
all.
everything. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, but they have like a bunch of cool stuff that you can do with it. It's pretty sweet. They actually, I saw a video the other day. Henry's got a lever action 410 shotgun. My buddy bought a 410 Judge revolver, and we bought some 410 shotgun shell rounds, and they wouldn't quite fit in the revolver. So we just like shaved a bunch of the rounds down and put them in, and like we were having a range day, and he's like, "Should I bring the Judge out?"
Don't fucking do that at home.
Hey, yeah, don't do that at home. But he's like, "Should I bring the Judge out?" I'm like, "Well, we kind of shaved those rounds down, so like, if you want to." And he's like, "All right, we'll do that." And he throws one of the shaved down rounds in, and he's just like kind of holds it out like this and squeezes. And it went off and everything, and I was like, "Oh boy!" I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep playing around with that because it was like a off-brand. I don't even know what brand it was, but it wasn't like a well.
Yeah. Just because we do dumb shit doesn't mean you need to do dumb shit.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Full disclosure, just want to make sure.
I was at a party one time, and something had happened, and someone pulled out a gun, and it was a really bad time. Like, shouldn't have happened. There was a biker gang involved, and one of my friends tried to tackle the dude that had the 410, and it went off, and he got pelted through his elbow and his hip. Like, had like birdshot in it, and like he's bleeding everywhere. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, you just got shot, dude. I was like 21 years old. And he's like, yeah, I did get shot. I'm like, well, we should probably stop that bleeding, bro. Like, I had a tourniquet in my car, so I just like went and grabbed it, like threw it on him real quick. Like, he wasn't in like immediate
Was it just
danger.
vascular? Or?
It was vascular, but like it tore up his arm like pretty good. Like, he had quite a bit of BBs like in his arm. It was pretty close range. And
That'd be a hell of a story when you go down a flight.
yeah, and so I remember like putting the tourniquet on him, and like that was the first time I ever heard of like the 410 judge, like what it was. And I brought him to the hospital and sat with him the whole time, got his x-rays, and when the x-ray came out, just all the little BBs like inside of his arm, and I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, like that's wild.
I've never done the whole get like that, but I've been like drinking with bros, and like you get type A personalities together, and then you're like, oh, my dick's bigger than yours, and then it turns into. I've been stabbed once.
Yeah,
grabbed up. Was in my actually good co-worker.
Yeah.
We were having a party at his house, and he's like, I'll fucking stab you in the leg. Not my coworker that stopped the bleed, but I'm like, I can do it. And he whipped it out, and I grabbed that blade, and it's still stuck in my leg about an inch. And then I just smiled at him, and then pulled it out. And my buddy's like, we need to stop that. We need to do something with that wound. So he brought me into the bathroom, put a Israeli bandage around it, cringed her down, and that's sometimes that happens. Like
drinking with friends,
especially when you're good friends. Like, I don't think you shouldn't probably do that, but at the end of the day, like sometimes shit happens like that. Yeah. That's funny. It's like little things in life like coexist with other people that you didn't. We have not partied like that.
No.
Ever. And I'm getting to the age where I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But to hear those little stories in the back end of like, oh, you've been through some shit like that too.
Oh man.
Oh shit. If you could choose one, building guns or hunting, you gotta get rid of one. There's no twosies. Which one would you pick and why?
I'd get rid of building guns.
Yeah.
Hunting's such like a you need to do it. Like for me, like being able to put food on the table for my family and everything like that. Like I love venison and everything like that. But if anything were to go to shit, like knowing how to hunt, how to trap, how to do anything like that, like you definitely got to pick that over anything else. Like you can just grab any kind of gun. Like it's an end of the world scenario. Like you're not gonna be sitting there building guns. Like
no, hell no. And like sometimes you don't even need to gun hunt if you know trapping.
Exactly.
You just expand the trap to that size.
Yeah, but for hunting, for sure. Like I used to do it a bunch when I was a kid. My dad always went. Normally, like all the family lived up north, so like we travel north for like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and stuff like that. And Thanksgiving Eve, everyone would get quite liquored up and have fun party little family games, and then the next morning everyone would go out and hunt. And I think what broke the camel's back for my dad was my cousin would always get plastered and then be so hungover puking in the woods the next day, and every single year he'd get a deer. And my dad, it had been a while since he had gotten one. He's like, I'm fucking done. My dad stopped drinking for years. So, like, he'd go out and, like, the hungover drunk person would get a deer. Which, by the way, like, you shouldn't be drunk while hunting. It was from the night before.
Let's be fucking real. Everybody does that.
Exactly. But, yeah, anyway, so, and my dad stopped hunting, and through high school, I can't really hunt in southern Maine. We never really did. It was always way up north. And I I kind of got away from it for quite a few years. And then when I bought my house in Leamington, I got a bunch of land out behind me and everything, and I got back into it, and I love it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's frustrating when you don't see anything or don't get anything.
But then you're out in nature, you're fucking soaking in, all that
Quiet.
good vibes. Sometimes you take a nap and oh shit, I should have woke up. Maybe a deer went by then.
It's therapy for me in the fall time. I look forward to it a lot, just to be able to kind of sit out there in nature and just kind of chill.
I just wish you could. I don't know who created this whole not hunting on Sunday.
Yeah, it needs to change.
I feel as though like people work for a living. I don't know, whoever made that thing, like maybe was a churchgoer, but like
and don't quote me on this, but I don't think it's like that in other states. I think Maine. I think
there's two or three states that do that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like when you're working Monday through Friday, and then you take away a Sunday, people have to take work off to go hunting.
Exactly.
Which is annoying. Yeah. And like Jesus wouldn't want you to starve, so like let's not get into that.
Hunt on Sunday.
Exactly. It's family.
Make it a Monday or a Tuesday. No hunting on Mondays or Tuesdays.
Okay. Monday I can get that. Like you gotta get back to work. But Sunday, get out.
Dude, it's so annoying. Every year, opening day is like whatever first weekend of that month, but it's always a drill weekend. So every single year I miss opening weekend. And it's so annoying.
Some of the best, I'll put it this way, some of the best childhood memories I've had to this day was Saturday, Sunday hunting with Pa. Why would you want to take one of those days away?
Yeah.
It's annoying. You need to get rid of that. Yeah. Some wife was probably mad that hubby went out hunting on a Sunday.
What's my brother-in-law call it? November. It means you tell your significant other, no, I'm fucking hunting the entire time for the entire month of November.
It makes our hearts lighter. It makes everything lighter. It's our one of those antidepressants.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit. We're gonna do looking back on your journey so far. What little moment are you most proud of?
Probably the transition from being and like we're talking civilian or military, but for most of my life it's been military. Like that is my life. Even whether I was like contractor on the civilian side or whatnot, but I've always held the Army near and dear to my heart and everything like that. But the time I went from being in like a platoon leadership into like a headquarters element, it was a very hard transition for me, being on the line for 10 years and then moving into a point where I'm not around my guys anymore. Like I'm in a headquarters spot. I'm part of headquarters that's just kind of shunned off to the side and everything. But the new role in headquarters and like training those dudes. So like not being able to be on the line and train them, but be in an even bigger position to form their training, what they're doing on a drill weekend and everything like that I'm most proud of, because I've been with these dudes for a long time and having to leave them and everything was pretty tough and hard on me, but being able to be the bigger picture, and which is something I always want. I wanted to affect change. Being able to do that still in the role that I'm in now and making it to where like I can affect the changes, the training that we do, the things that we do.
Yeah.
Being able to still be able to do that is probably one of the biggest.
No, you talk about leadership. Okay. What do you think sets apart or a key to great leadership?
So with great leadership, like you were lower enlisted and you had that one dickhead E5 or E6 that was just kind of a hard ass just cause that's how the Army was. Like not falling into that, when you become that position. Taking that and becoming better.
Aspect of it.
Yeah. Like, I had a couple of team leaders and squad. I had a squad leader and a couple team leaders that were pretty rough on me for no reason. There was no reason besides the fact that there's like,
just wanted to be.
Just because I can. And like, as the Army's forever changing and everything like that, like, you kind of got to work with people, like, find different ways to relate with your soldiers. Not every soldier is going to be the same. Like, yeah, you may have some sort of style leadership and everything like that, but just kind of being in tune with your squad or team or whatever, just like knowing each one of their personalities and being able to move around within them to help train, because certain people work well with you just telling them to do something, they're going to do it, or some people need to have some stuff explained to them or show them a certain way, just kind of knowing who they are.
I wish schools did that.
Yeah, and in all honesty, if schools were like that, it's tough in a way, but if schools were like that, like,
I think everybody would just be better off for it.
I was always bored in school, like, I didn't have the greatest grades, but it was one of those things where, like, I would make deals with my teachers and be like, hey, I'm not doing any of this homework, but if I get 100 on this test, like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll pass you. And then, like, moving into the Army, like, you can't just do that. So, like, you gotta learn the way. And a lot of the schools I've been to, like, a lot of the instructors were people like that, where they wanted to know how you kind of worked and everything like that. And
well, everybody learns different. Everybody, I mean, what I never understood about any sort of school was that, like, okay, this is the line we want to keep down.
Yeah.
Even though we know everybody's, like, fucking way outside of that line.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep this line. Where in any sort of right mind does that make any sort of logical sense?
It does.
No. Like, I learned more. Sometimes in high school, I had to go into, they called it summer school.
Yeah.
I learned more during that. I could fucking haze.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because of just more one-on-one or...
I was always bored.
I was bored out of my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Math.
Yeah.
Love math now.
Yeah.
Hated it back then. And if they would have told me something about, like, fractal geometry, nature's geometry,
yeah,
I'd have been head over heels trying to learn all that shit. But they didn't even mention that. I didn't learn that shit till I was like 21, 22.
I learned math through pain. Whenever, like, me and my dad would do, like, math problems at the dinner table or whatever, and if I get something wrong, he'd, like, flick the top of my hand or, like, hit it with a ruler. And, like, thinking back on it, it's kind of fucked up, but at the same time, like, I'm pretty good with math. Like, it worked, so whatever.
Well, you got to be, dude, like, especially with, like, all explosives and shit.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Like,
which is super funny, because, like, in the Army, like, your ASVAB scored, like, the aptitude test you're taking in the beginning, like, you don't really need a high ASVAB score to be a combat engineer. But they expect you to do these, like, pretty, like, there's a little bit of calculus involved in some of our, like, equations that we have to do.
yeah.
And granted, like, you don't...
Probably
For me, I learned it at a very, like, I had a team leader, squad leader that were like, no, you guys need to know this now. Like, at the squad leader, platoon leader levels, like, where those calculations are being done in a way. But, like, as a lower enlisted soldier, like, even as a private, like, I learned that shit. And I always just ran with it. So at a very young time in my military career, like, I was running demolitions ranges. That's why it always clicked with me for some reason. So
I think a lot of had to do with, like, just like you said, you loved math.
yeah.
You think that kind of correlated with that?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna be, like, a mechanic in the Army when I, like, first wanted to join. And then my dad, it was either mechanic or heavy equipment operator, I can't remember. My dad was like, yeah, whatever. And then one day he's like, why don't you talk to this dude real quick? Because they, like, worked in the same office together. And he was one of the platoon sergeants in my company. He's like, hey, you like shooting guns and blowing stuff up? I'm like,
Who fucking doesn't?
yeah, who doesn't? He's like, well, I think you should come to this company. So then I, like, changed my mind, like, a couple weeks before I joined. And I was like, no, I want to be a 12 Bravo. And then ever since, I was like, I'm so happy that I chose this and not fucking something else.
Obviously, you're going to be a lifer.
Yeah.
You're gonna retire.
Yeah.
You're gonna do all. I think you put every bit of thought process into the next 10 years, and your goals to get to that point where you're gonna retire. So, what impact do you hope to leave at the end of that?
Like I was talking about, the Army's ever changing, and I've seen it a couple different ways, like the pretty rugged, like war fighting. We're in war. The drawdowns happen now, where it's a training environment, but just like having the people under me and or even the organization that I'm in just learn from mistakes and grow. Like, don't sit on one thing and say, oh, we should have done it this way, and just kind of negativity mindset in a way. Just
positive.
Think forward.
Okay,
and
what do we have next?
Move on certain actions, like as they're happening, not just kind of waiting around for things to happen. Like, I don't know. I'm a very big. I don't know. With training, like, we're just in a training standpoint right now. We just train.
Yeah, so how can you like maybe make training more?
Exactly.
Like maybe think ahead of like what the next combat.
Yep. We're moving into a whole new realm.
Do you see the fucking drones?
Yeah.
Probably gonna have to cut all of that.
Yeah. It's a new thing that's coming in, and counter drone it's a big thing. I've been to training in the past about it, but like they're actually like getting into it now. It's pretty.
Yeah, no, I think Ukraine taught us a bunch about that shit.
Yeah,
that's spooky.
It is spooky.
Oh, it might be like World War Z zombies.
Yeah,
and then like the TV slow zombies.
Yeah.
Drones. Oh, fucking World War Z zombies. You get like 200 or 300 of them.
And yeah, watching those videos is fucking wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Never in a million years I thought. I don't think about that.
No.
I thought use them for like recording houses and shit to like sell them. But
it's the cheapest way to drop ordnance.
And nobody dies.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say it, even though we're probably going to get rid of it. Yeah, somebody dies at the end.
At the end of it. So most of the videos you're watching, people are getting fucking murdered.
All right, let's move into some lighthearted, a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
If you could go back to any age and relive 1 year, which year would it be and why? No, it's toughy.
It is a toughie.
You don't ever think about that.
If I could go back to that year and like talk to myself and be like, hey,
you could do that, yeah.
Like probably 5th grade into 6th grade, the 2 years my dad was deployed, that was like a really weird time. Like I was at the age where like I knew he was gone, I knew war was happening. Some crazy shit happened while he was over there where like we thought he had passed. There was a bombing of a dining facility that happened, and he was like there, or we thought he was there, but he had left like a couple days before. But obviously, like back then, maybe every other week you'd hear.
Yeah,
it was like old school webcam.
Not like you're getting real time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just going back to that age and talking to myself and be like, dude, it's gonna be okay. Like I was a wreck in school. Cried a lot. Got picked on a lot just because I was crying all the time.
No, nobody understood it.
No, nobody. Well, there was one girl. She was a grade above me. Her name was Rebecca. Her dad and my dad were both deployed together. So, like, we'd always they created, like a working group type thing at school. Like, kind of like a therapy type thing for the both of us. Just because hard time back then, like, initial push into war. But I didn't understand it enough back then. And some of those things stuck with me for like a long time. But just going back telling myself, like, dude, it's going to be fine. Like, you'll be all right.
One day at a time.
Yeah. And then other than that, going back to probably when I was around like 21 and being like, don't be a fucking idiot. I spent so much money and wasted so much of my life on just partying.
A lot of it was probably over some women.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Women. They got a pull. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you? Like what's some random? It could be It could be like a.
You already know this. I'm a fucking wicked anime nerd, dude. I had growing up, like a lot of people, I don't know, just had a weird misconception about like you had that dude that was like running around school acting like Naruto and just like being a weirdo. Like I was never that kind of person, but like growing up with comic books and stuff like that, like back in the old Toonami days and Cartoon Network and stuff like that.
Closet geek, we call him.
Yeah, like dude, Naruto was a huge thing. And, like I grew up on it. Like there was like over 1,000 episodes. So like there's years of my life that I watched that show, and now I have it fucking tattooed all over my leg.
He does have. And we think you just did your. Well, the last time was with your ditch.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't have mine done yet.
Yeah.
And I've been tattooing for 15 years.
Yeah.
If that tells you anything. You're a fucking trooper. Balls. That ditch is not fun. Kneecap, that was easy for you.
Kneecap was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was I don't know why. But
The ditch vagina?
it's fucking
Tendy?
It was brutal. It was so bad.
But it healed.
It did. Dude, it was so
Whackest.
itchy for so long. Like, it's just now getting to a point, like, I've been feeding it Aquaphor for months now. And, like, my leg has finally gone back to normal. It's not
bendy.
itchy anymore. Like,
Yeah.
the skin's not super dry and tight. Like, it's back to normal. And now we still have to go in.
Yeah, we got a couple more Tindy.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I started a piece where we're going on me. And I'm okay if it doesn't get done right. I got to a certain point. I'm like, we ain't doing this. Oh shit. We kind of went over a few things that like hunting. You're building guns, but like if you could take a hunting trip anywhere in the world, and I'm talking anywhere. I know Rogan he had a guy on, he was doing hunt trips overseas and shit.
Yeah.
Do you got a spot that you'd just be all about it? Like mine's pig hunting in Florida.
Yeah, okay. So I went down to Texas one time for school, and we had a weekend off, and they had this helicopter hog hunting. Mm-hmm. You could rent any gun you want, but at the time we were partying pretty hard throughout the entire course, so we pretty much spent everything we had already made. And back then, at a younger age, like I wasn't making that much money. It was like $800 per person for like the day, and you could take any gun you wanted. They give you a certain amount of ammo, and you're just strapped into the side of like a little bird. Just hog hunting. And I wish I could do that. I still want to do that, but like hands down, probably out west, Montana, like in the mountains, either.
I heard mountains is tough.
Like mountain goat or like elk. I would love to go on like an elk hunt.
Yeah.
I did my first moose hunt this year in Maine, and then I heard a couple stories from some dudes that did like an Alaskan moose hunt, and that shit's like wild. But probably like a out west elk hunt.
Well, if I go hog hunting, I'll get hold of you.
Oh yeah, I'm so down for that.
I did hog hunting in Florida on foot,
Yeah.
which is a whole different.
Dude, now they got these side-by-sides, like whole like SF setup, like Special Forces.
Yeah.
They got like the mounts and everything on the side with like full auto machine guns that you can like as a civilian just go do, which would be sick. But
Oh hell yeah! Because then you got nods, you got infrared, you got.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't got to wear ear pro because they're all suppressed.
Yeah.
Like you're literally. Oh, it'd be the funnest time. That will happen at the end of this life. Or,
yeah, for sure.
I'd be fucking 80 and I would be on that side by side with suppressed nods.
Oh man,
If I go, I'm hitting you up.
hell yeah.
What's your go-to way to relax at the end of a rough week or day?
Oh, it depends on the season, man. Fucking summertime, me and the wife I got a nice patio out back and we'll light a fire or whatever, but wintertime's kind of tough. It's cold.
It's miserable.
Just pretty much chilling with the house.
You can't really go out and camp. I know you're a big fan of camping.
Yeah, I love camping. Really relax.
Anyway, to put that straight, guys, at my wedding, him and his wife show up, just the truck, And like it was a real small wedding, so like everybody was staying. Like, are you sleeping? Oh, we're just gonna throw shit in the back of the truck and just underneath the stars.
Yeah.
Like it could rain. Like the last night, the night before the wedding, it rained
poured. Yeah.
for fucking hours.
That's what the tonneau cover's for. You roll that thing up and you'll be good.
And they did. They were up early, but they did it. Speaking of, how was that night? Was it cold?
No, we were warm as fuck, dude. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But she's an early riser, and like obviously I was super hungover, and I was like, just let me sleep a little bit longer. She's like, you just lay in the bed of the truck, and I'll drive you home. And I'm like, God, that's illegal. We can't do that. So we dipped at like, I don't know, 6:37, something like that.
You guys were.
I mean, we didn't go to bed till 2 o'clock in the morning. But
Yeah. I went to bed the night prior, 5.
yeah,
Getting married the next day.
Yeah.
Woke up, I don't know, not hungover. I had a couple marks in my head, which my wife, I think you could almost see it. A little shiny white spot. My wife wasn't too happy.
Yeah.
She called us. What are you doing? I was going to got the photographer. I'm like, oh, we're making coffee. And we were literally just woke up. Whoopsies. Hey, I've only been married once. I waited 38 years to get married. I figured I waited long enough to skip over my first divorce.
Yeah.
So it was perfect.
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for a better group of people being there. I couldn't have asked. It was out fucking standing.
It was awesome.
It was a good time.
It was a good time.
Even my vows.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned whether or not how my wife was going to take those.
You did awesome.
All 4 of her. I heard your chuckle when I said,
Oh, man. This shit was so funny. Leah hit me. She's like, stop laughing. I'm like, but it's so funny and it's so true.
genuine. That's what I wanted. My vows would be super genuine. All right. I got 2 really important questions I want to ask you because I think it might help other people.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people can relate to everybody if we just sat the hell down and talked to one another.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago, we used to talk to one another, and I think the world was better for it.
Mhm.
We don't do that now. So, a lot of people think that I need to be happy in order for me to progress in life, or I need to be happy when down to brass tacks, it's not always about being happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's moments of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think ultimately that happiness is a choice or influenced by your circumstances?
I've been down both roads where, like, I chose to think I was happy or be happy in a way, where in reality I wasn't. I honestly think it's with circumstances. Like, you gotta kind of surround yourself with happiness in a way in order to be happy. You can't, like, for years I thought I could make myself happy, just the situation I was in and whatnot. And in the end, like, it was the complete opposite. Like, you're miserable, things like that. Like, it's surrounding yourself with happiness in, like, circumstances of, like, how
We're a prisoner of our own surroundings.
exactly. So 100%, like, the circumstances that are around you is what makes happiness.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get into this like train of thought of like yeah, you got like friendships that are deep, and you know those ones.
Yeah.
And in those bad moments within those friendships, relationships, there's a lot of times where you just don't grow from it.
Yeah.
And then there's those times that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes the friendship or relationship stronger. And I think a lot of people don't get like thinking enough of those moments to where you're like, is it fucking worth it?
Yeah.
And if it is worth it, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be happy doing it.
Yeah.
it means that I'm going to work my way back into that happiness via the circumstance.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people get caught in this little zone of, well, I feel like I could make myself happy, but then don't put the effort in.
Yeah. Dude, the biggest thing I will say for anybody out there is like, whether you think you need it or not, dude, like therapy. Whether you are that kind of person or not, I 100% am not that kind of person, and that probably was instilled in me through my father, because he was the kind of person that never wanted to talk about anything.
Well, they didn't have that shit back in old school days.
Exactly. But even nowadays, like some of the stuff he's had to go through, like he's going to see a therapist, and like that right there showed me that like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
And there are still things that like I as a human being need to work on.
Yep.
Like whether it's past things in my life that have kind of fucked me up, or I think I should revisit and talk about with somebody else. It's not my significant other, just another human being to talk to. Like therapy's a huge thing.
Well, true, and that it's just not your significant other's job to be your shrink.
No, not at all.
Like you guys coexist with happiness. You don't need to try to make each other happy. Like
exactly.
Your happiness is your responsibility, and then you blend it together.
Yeah.
And I never, even like when we talk about therapy too, like it doesn't need to be necessarily a therapist.
No.
It could be your best mate or your girl, maybe not your best girlfriend or best bro.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, and I think everybody deals with that, a lot of the times it's sometimes it, depending on what you're talking about, could put a visual in your friend's mind.
Yeah.
About someone, and then they judge it, and that's not what you needed. You just needed
talking to somebody on a neutral ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think those really good friendships come when those friends know, I'm not going to give him advice. I'm going to sit here, shut the fuck up, and listen.
Yeah.
And those are the best friends.
Yeah, because just kind of holding on to things, staring on them, it fucking doesn't work. I did it for years. My dad did it for years. I've seen friends do it for years. It turns into something real nasty and gross.
That's why I don't really drink whiskey no more, because I got some shit buried I need to bring back up. And working on it.
We're all working on it.
I'm not feeding that bad dog right now.
Yeah.
Values and beliefs. It's like, what is a belief that you hold with internal, down to your core, that some people just disagree with?
Being just like a genuine nice person to everybody. No matter like if you don't like a person or that person isn't well liked or whatever, just being a legitimate human being.
Not a shitbag.
Don't be a shitbag. Like give everybody respect. Just respect people for being human. Like
kill them with kindness.
Like we talked about earlier, like I was bullied a lot in school. You talked about being bullied a lot, and like there was always a friend that I had. It was always a little older that like kind of would step in and be like, "Hey man, like stop bullying that kid or whatever." And like that spoke a lot to me. Like growing up and doing the same thing, like when I was a senior or being in more advanced leadership roles in the Army and stuff like that, just kind of getting away from just kind of being a shitbag, treating people like shit. Like everybody's human.
Yeah, we all deal with the same bullshit.
Being a good person,
like
helping people when they need to be helped, or even if they don't want help, just being there for somebody.
Like, why are you so kind to you? Like, you should be a dick, but like you think that we don't know those are moments where we should be a dick, but just because we should doesn't mean you have to.
I always put people like above my own.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough.
It is, but
some people are shit bags, and you just internally want a knife fucking hand right in the
or like if someone gets hemmed up in a pretty wild situation, like I don't know, I'm always sticking my neck out for people. Like whether I was told the whole story or not, I've known this person for a long time. I'm going to believe the things that they told me until proven otherwise. And at that point, like I'm not going to sit there and talk shit about them. I'm just going to take them out of my life.
Yeah, because I mean, for everybody, that's different too. Like for you, it could have been, we all have our first feelings on people, and every one of the people they have met it's always different.
Yeah. For always, and I will always be this way probably, is like when I initially meet somebody, I put them in high regards, think they're the best thing since sliced bread. Just kind of be a good person towards them until they prove me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll never be there and talk shit behind their back or anything like that. Like, that's just
Trust everybody, just it's their duty not to fuck that up. They got one go at it.
Yep.
Nope, I think that's fair. I think everybody needs to do that more, because I think we're like, this separation comes from not having the humility to just be like, just because I went through this doesn't mean that this person's just like this person.
Yeah.
And like, we need to get away from that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's okay to protect yourself.
Yep.
But it's also okay to not judge.
Yeah.
And be like, I don't know this person enough yet, so I'm not going to put him into a box.
Yeah.
Or her into a box that may stunt the opportunity to learn from that person.
I agree 100%.
How do you define success? And how has that definition to you changed over time?
For me, success comes with failure. Like, you have to fail in order to succeed.
A lot.
The people that are out there that think like, oh no, you can never fail. Like, never fail. Succeed all the time, 100%. Like, that is not how that works. Like, you have to fail in order to learn from your mistakes.
Yep.
And I think failing first, then succeeding, you get way more out of it than just
Awarding.
awarding it and whatnot. I'm a huge person in, like, I don't know. I have a friend who is my boss, and he hates failure. Like, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
Like, he'd rather there be no failure, no room for any kind of improvement. I shouldn't say no room for improvement, but like, for me, I need to fail in order to learn from mistakes. And when things are corrected and I don't get to see the failure, like, I don't learn from it.
Yeah.
And as the years have gone on, like, we've worked very well together and things have changed. But in the very beginning, it was just like, never fail, always succeed. And like, that also speaks words as well.
Yeah, I mean, but unrealistic.
Yeah.
But I think that's maybe in the pursuit of perfection.
Yeah. And like, this dude, he is a perfectionist, but he is one of the smartest dudes I've ever met. He's a very good friend of mine and like a huge role in my success and like just who I look up to in our organization. He's going to change our organization a lot, and I can't wait to see him do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
That's
but
good for him.
sometimes failure needs to happen.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a lot of failure, that's a different story. But
It's like stubbing your toe.
Yeah.
Stub your toe once on that fucking night table. It's okay to move that night table. Now, what's one thing, doesn't matter what it is, what's one thing that you would stand up for absolutely no matter what the cost is?
%, just doing the right thing. No backdoor dealings. No trying to make things the way you want them to be. Like, following the rules. Like, sometimes rules can be a little bit... it goes back to the Army thing. Just... You gotta follow the rules, man.
Is that
Doing
is that
things...
part of your moral?
Yeah.
code?
Yeah. Like, don't backdoor deal. Don't put yourself above others.
Now, what if you're put in a position that more moral to you, like that's wrong, but you could get in trouble? And that's, I think, a big thing that we don't see nowadays.
Like,
I know this is morally fucking wrong.
Yeah.
I know what the right thing to do is, but if I don't,
people are gonna look down on me
here to the immoral.
Yeah.
and follow that moral code, do you think if you were ever in that position, you'd pick, no question, this is the right way?
If I'm getting put in a situation where morally it's wrong and it is just
Against
that's
your
not
moral
right,
code.
but like someone above me is gonna get mad at me for following the right thing, I'm gonna follow the right thing.
Yeah.
Like fuck them.
I think that makes apart from like us being human.
Like I'm not trying to make friends 24/7. Like I'm trying to do the right thing, train my soldiers, do everything that is right. And I'm not gonna sit there and for my own self-worth or gains throughout my career try to get to a certain point while immorally doing something. Like that's not who I am. That's not what my dad raised me to be. Yeah. My dad was a huge proprietor of just do the right fucking thing at all times.
No.
Make sure you're looking out for your dudes.
Yep. Family.
Yeah.
No matter how many of them that you don't fucking like.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta do the right thing.
Whether it's hard or not. Like for me, like 100%, I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm not gonna screw somebody over or fudge some things to make me look better. Like no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die on that sword, 100%.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you got to put your head on your pillow.
Yep.
And go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're in your book voice and you're in your thoughts. And, yeah. Firm believer of that.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, I don't know would you consider yourself a man of faith or?
Yeah. As I've gotten older, like growing up, was forced to go to church and stuff like that. My mom was pretty religious. My dad, not so much. But my wife, my father-in-law was a pastor for many years, and he's kind of helped me. My wife's kind of helped me find a little bit more faith. Now, I still feel super awkward inside of a church. I don't know why, but like going to church, I don't necessarily like, but I do have faith in a greater power. Whether I'm still figuring it out, I guess. Yeah. Like I'm still getting there.
I grew up in a Catholic school, man. Piss at and fucking beat your hands tight nuns. You know what I mean? So like, you know, I don't feel as though you have to go to church to talk to God.
No, you can do it.
I think a lot of the best true faith is just you sitting there one-on-one. Yeah. Hey, what the fuck can I do better, man?
During Sapper School, man, one of those fucking night times where it was real fucking cold, I had been laying in a hole by myself, and I was like, I was like, hey, God, it's like, fucking get me through this.
Talk to me.
Yeah. Whether that was me being super tired and just talking to myself, like, it was a thing, like, I don't know.
Well, God don't talk to you like...
No. Exactly.
No. Yeah. I can't tell you how many damn times it's like...
Yeah.
Vague.
I think moving forward, like, the older I get, the more faith I'll have. Or understand what I actually have for a belief in a way. I don't know. It's weird. Still figuring it out.
My religion's spirituality, science, and faith. Like, I know Jesus died on the cross. I know he resurrected.
Yep.
Those are the two things that I know for a fact. But I don't like being stagnant.
Yeah.
I don't feel, though, like my God is like, no, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. Don't grow anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Forever changing.
Always. I think we're ignorant to think that, like, there's just, oh, this is what it is. Like, we don't even know our own fucking oceans.
Yeah. I like the way you just spun that. Like, it's forever changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, just be good, do better.
Yeah.
You're not going to be perfect,
mm-hmm.
but you could work on moments of trying to fix the one thing that's imperfect about you. Mm-hmm. You're never going to, I mean, judge not's written in the Bible 365 times, one for each day of the fucking year.
Yeah.
Like, people need to, and I have an issue with Christians that sit there and, I'll do a quick little story. We moved in, tattoo shop in Michigan, next to a church. You can just imagine how well that went over. And I went to my grandma and I was telling her, and she's church every day. Like, if she could, she would. And she's like, well, just show them you're Christian.
Yeah.
I'm like, the fuck do you mean by that? She's like, come up with an idea to show them you're Christian. So we ended up doing a can drive, and we're talking a fucking dump truck load of cans we made. What do you think we did? Gave it to them.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
They instantly checked their tune.
Yeah.
Now, albeit 2 years later, the pastor got caught doing some.
Oh, no.
I won't go into detail, but let's just say it involved youngins.
Yeah, that's not good.
So, who's the judging?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like internally, book voice, I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But no, karma sorted that out.
Yep.
So it always leads. That's my faith. Like, just be a good person. I feel like karma is a part of.
Oh, yeah. I 100% believe in the karma system.
I don't know if it's good or bad, or like maybe it's bad, sucking them in more. Maybe it's good, pushing them out. But I am 100% aware that I don't know, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
If it feels good, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
like this.
Yeah,
I don't want to be on fucking camera.
Yeah, it is super weird, but at the same time, like,
inwardly, I feel like showing the humanity side of you. Or I think it's needed. If I can't beat the fucking phone, I'll join it and change it.
Yeah, love it, man.
Now, these questions I'm asking ain't just about the answer. So I want to kind of dabble into back to it, like humanity side of it. You came on here out of trust out of me. Yeah, and I respect the hell out of that. I'm not here to start drama. I'm not here to write a hit piece. Is there anything deep to your core that you feel like the world could learn from? Anyone? The lesson you had? I feel like a lot of people do. We go through similar shit, so there might be something in there that could just help
working as a team. You gotta work, like, there's different sides to every bit of our world, and like people just have to come together and work as a team. Team building and like working as a team is huge. You're not one single person like trying to figure something out. Like, you have multitude of different backgrounds, knowledge bases, everything, just working together to figure out a problem.
Friendships, relationships, family.
And you can literally take that and put it into anything, and teamwork will always...
People you work with. Yeah.
It's very divided times right now, and I think people really need to, like, we need to get back to working together.
I want to know what your thoughts are with the world today.
Yeah.
I think it's good for people to talk about it. I'm tired of this. Well, I don't want to talk. Like, we don't have to necessarily get into politics. But I feel like the moment you stop talking about these things is the more they just fucking explode. And then you're chasing the tail of it, and you'll never get caught up with it. And we can keep it gentle. We can keep it rough as fuck. Completely up to you. And I think with enough pick and brain of everyone, it's okay to have a debate. You and I don't and will not always agree on something. And I think that's 100% awesome. I think the world we need to be able to keep that. But not get so butthurt. Where, fuck you, you're not my friend no more.
Everybody's gonna work together, no matter what your differences are. Like, as long as you're able to have like normal conversation about it, like whether talk politics, whether you're Republican or Democrat, like there's far left, far right, whatever. Like there's certain people that will just shove it down your throat and hate you for it. And then like I've met other people that like aren't the shove it down your throat, but they'll sit there and just ask why. And then you'll just have like a good conversation. Why? Like no one's blaming anybody for everything. You're just having good old fashioned talk.
And nothing could have changed.
Yeah.
You just had a good discussion.
Yeah.
You got to know your friend more.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe sometimes you see their side and it makes more sense, or they see your side and it makes more sense.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but it's not just like, fuck you.
Yeah. Like
You're wrong.
there's no stupid questions. There's no stupid debates, because the more you debate, the more you question things, the more understanding you have, and the more understanding, the more comfortability there is around it. Instead of nowadays this divided fucking world. Yeah. Whether I like it or not, I'm lucky enough to see the duality. I sit with all sorts of fucking just all sorts of people.
Yeah, I can't even imagine with what you're doing and everything.
Yeah,
like you see every realm.
Everywhere. Crackheads to fucking churchgoers to lawyers to brain surgeons to, I mean, you fucking name it.
Yeah.
Everybody likes tattoos. Yeah. Hairdressers. Yeah. They get the same shit. You see enough of these stories and struggles and it's been 15 years. Like, I know people that's been tattooing longer than that. I wish they would talk about these stories. Everyone's pretty fucking much the same. Yeah. Like we all think, like if you could take 30 people without talking over one another and you sat them down and you had a structured debate at the end of not a 2-minute skit, but like an hour, 2-hour conversation. Yeah. You'd be like, man, we all think about the same shit. We all have our own struggles, same struggles. And I don't think there's not enough of that. So let's have a little 5-minute break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys. Hang out, stick in. We're good to go. All right, we are back. Basically, I heard you had a really dope ass training exercise. Yep. Now that you said it happens all the time.
No, not really. We have a 5-year training cycle that we normally do. Okay. So like you start out first year's modernization, then you move on to kind of ramping up the crawl, walk, run, I guess, for our training cycle. And we were in our 5th year of the cycle, which is our like ready year. Yeah. So year prior, we had done a JRTC rotation down in Louisiana, which is a big multi-echelon event. There's like 50,000 something troops that like go through the event. But the ready year that we went into, it was a big active duty mission, and we were one of the only National Guard units in Finland that went, which was pretty cool. So you got your Compo 1, which is active duty, and your Compo 2, which is Reserve National Guard. And it was just a big move of getting equipment over into Finland and doing this cool training exercise with them, which was really cool to be a part of.
That's just for like foreign relation type training.
Yeah, it was a NATO exercise, which it's been going on for years and years and years. Cool. So we trained with the Finnish, Swedes. I believe there was some UK soldiers there as well, which was pretty cool.
Any cool ass like SAS type?
No, their tank brigades that they call them in Finland, they have dirt bikes that like roll around with the tanks, which was kind of cool. Yeah, they're like their scouts.
Do they put it on the tank?
No, they're like, so the tank will roll through, and then all of a sudden there'll just be like a couple dudes on dirt bikes like rolling behind them. So they'll like go out scout for like where the tanks are going and whatnot. It's kind of cool.
That's pretty dope. Yeah. Are they electric, loud, or loud?
No, they're 2 strokes.
Gotcha. Yeah, loud as fuck.
Loud as fuck. So 0 stealth with that. But I mean, when you're thinking of a tanks are loud too, so
yeah, yes they are.
Yeah.
And now you were talking about a video about it. Now is that like, so that's I heard it was like an overseas video. Yep. So I can show it. Yep. I do have it preemptively kind of I forget that I got screens. Now, kind of, what was some of the cool stuff about, like, not tactics wise, but like, just did you meet some new cool friends?
Yeah, I did make a lot of cool friends. We hung out with their engineers, which is a big part of their army, but not really. So we did a little bit of cross training with them. But yeah, I made some decent friends. I still talk to one or two of them. Just seeing their equipment and everything, like what they have, like they're very modern, just like us. Comparative, like, so the state of Maine does a partnership program with Montenegro, and like they have like old, like 1980 style trucks and stuff like that. They don't have a whole lot of equipment that I'm used to working with foreign soldiers and whatnot. So working with a very modernized army was kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, what's the kind of the difference? Do you notice a big difference between Americans and their little smartassery that we have and theirs, or is it pretty similar?
It's pretty similar. Yeah. And it's surprising, like a lot of them speak English.
Oh, is it?
So like there was no language barrier. There was a couple of guys that like couldn't speak English, but everybody was using their phones and Google Translate, like for the people that couldn't speak English. So there was no like disconnect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put a link to, guys, for this video if you want to do it once, like all the way once through watch over. It's pretty cool. I don't think you'll see my friend Mike on there.
No, not in the video, but there's a spot where there's a dude drinking out of a teacup, and
you're close to it.
I was up on a comm site that I had created, and I woke up one morning and there's just a film crew and a dude like sitting on the edge of this thing just drinking a cup of tea, and I'm like, what is going on right now? And then this video came out and I was like, oh shit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Any takeaway as an individual, like you, from this that you like is probably just gonna stick with you?
The scenery over there is beautiful.
Is it?
Yeah.
Does it remind you anything of Maine, or is it
it's so much like Maine.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we first got there was like 2 feet of snow, and I mean we're in the Arctic Circle, so like lots of snow. But then it was their springtime, so like just like it is here, like within a couple weeks it was 60s, 70s. Lots
Snow
of
was
greenery.
gone.
Snow was gone.
Do you feel like the snow like dissipated quicker there than
Oh
here?
yeah,
That
it
sucks.
definitely did. The change is way quicker, I guess. So like it went from being pretty cold to it was pretty warm. Like by the time I left.
Why can't we have that?
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Oh man.
Oh shit. I got a couple questions, and I think we'll kind of wrap up.
Oh yeah.
Let's say your kids, you have kids, your family's brewing 20 years from now, they're watching this. What's one good piece of advice or something you'd want to say to them? You got the floor.
Follow your dreams, and like we talked about earlier, just like be a good human being.
Yeah.
Like don't get into the habit of making fun of people, or just be a good dude, or girl.
I hope you have twins.
I don't
Twin
wish that
chicks.
upon me. My wife wants that so bad.
It runs in Kelly and that's what we're feared about. So
Yeah.
Kelly's side, skip generation twins.
Yeah.
And she's the skip generation. So I'm worried there too. And then on my side,
Oh boy.
so it could potentially,
Yeah.
if I hope to fucking God, if we have triplets, I'm gonna be in the hospital.
Oh man.
You got 30 seconds, man. Camera's all yours. Whatever you want to talk about, shout out, anything.
Well, I definitely want to thank my wife.
Yeah.
She is my rock, and she is a very strong individual with what my job is. It takes me away from home a lot,
Yeah.
mentally and actually, and she's a rock star. So
Well, shit, she getting into nursing too. So
yeah, hopefully she'll be done this summer with a degree. She did the accelerated program, which is crazy. I don't know how she does it. It's like 18 credit hours a semester, and she's just
So she got to sleep a few days while she's done.
oh yeah. But she's hammering away. She's getting it done. It's crazy watching her do it.
That's cool.
Yeah, she's very organized.
Will she go right into nursing? And it's like,
Yeah, whatever their nursing exam is, I think it's called the NCLEX or something like that. She'll take that sometime this fall, and then I think she's got something lined up, or at least a place that she wants to go. So she's been in the medical field for a long time. So
awesome.
yeah,
We could do a little get together and I could teach her a little bit of trauma med.
yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, quick. All right. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
It was
Man.
an honor again.
I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you just kind of giving me some time with you. So, this one will be out Wednesday. Or no, I always fuck that up. I do have a firm schedule now. First, I can't do this weekly. Ain't gonna happen. This one's coming out Sunday. Promo videos. We're good to go. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I can't get out there if nobody shares. So I'll see you on the next one.